On May 26, 2017, Jeremy Christian committed a tragic assault on a Max light rail train in Portland, Oregon. 2 persons were killed and 1 was critically injured in the incident. It was largely seen as a hate crime, since Christian had a history of making racist and extreme comments. On the train, Christian allegedly started verbally abusing 2 young girls, one of whom was wearing a headscarf. He reportedly took out a knife and stabbed all 3 of the other passengers who stepped in to protect the girls. 2 of them, Ricky Best and Taliesin Murden Namkimesh, died as a result of their wounds, while Micah Fletcher, the 3rd man, survived but with serious wounds. Around the time of the stabbings in May 2017, reporters searched through Christian's Facebook page and found multiple postings endorsing white nationalism. Christian identified himself as a patriot for Vinland, which was a brief Viking outpost in North America around the 10th century. He also referred to Timothy McVeigh as a true patriot and included a meme that called for mosques to be demolished because of 9/11. Christian's provocative behaviors were more obvious after a drink. The evening before the Max stabbings, when he hurled a bottle at a black lady, he confessed to having consumed sangria and used marijuana. Christian was later taken into custody soon after the assault and was later charged with 2 counts of aggravated murder, 1 count of attempted murder, 2 counts of second-degree intimidation, and 1 count of being a criminal in possession of a firearm. In the trial that took place in 2019, the prosecution claimed that Christian had a long history of making racist and extremist statements and that the attack was motivated by hatred. In February 2019, he was found responsible on all of the counts. In June of 2020, he received a life sentence in jail without the chance of release. The incident and its aftermath caused global anger and prompted demands for the United States to pay more attention to hate crimes and extremism. If you think Christian is the worst murderer, then wait and see what we have for our next criminal, Keith Ferguson. Ferguson admitted earlier of murdering Tiffany Ferguson, who was aged 42, and her father, James Weber. According to the police, Keith Ferguson fatally shot his wife on November 18th in their Cold Springs Township home before taking the couple's 4 children, ages 3, 9, 11, and 13, to their grandparents' house in Excelsior Township. There, he murdered his father-in-law, Weber, with a shot. He did both of these murders in front of his children. Keith made it apparent throughout his court appearance that he had no remorse for what he had done. Close friend of Tiffany's, Carla, sat down and concluded the victim impact statement. She spoke about Tiffany's worry about Keith and how she knew Keith was creating issues. Keith said he had no desire to talk or engage with his children again due to his respect for them and worry for their well-being.
Well, I'm not getting into any detail of what happened.
If you want to be guilty, you have to say what you did.
I'm not saying all right? Because of the respect and the safety of my children, I'm not saying nothing, because they're going to see this. They don't need to hear that.
Which made Judge George Mertz question his sanity as part of a plea bargain. The remaining 10 charges against Keith were dropped when he confessed to murdering his wife and father-in-law, and he was handed a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Ronnie O'Neill III is another murderer whose story will make you lose your mind. This Florida resident is suspected of attacking his fiancée and their little daughter in a vicious manner in March of 2018. Authorities claim that after killing Kenyatta Barron with a knife, O'Neill set fire to their home while their 9-year-old daughter was still inside. With hatchet strikes, O'Neill murdered their daughter, Ron Nevaeh O'Neill, age 9, and dismembered their son, Ronnie O'Neill IV, who was 8 at the time. O'Neill then set fire to their home after the stabbing, keeping their daughter inside. She managed to get away, and firemen were able to save her. O'Neill was detained and accused with 2 charges of first-degree murder, 1 count of attempted first-degree murder, 1 offense of setting a fire, and 1 count of resisting an officer without using force. He represented himself in court and made a number of odd statements, including that the judge and prosecution were attempting to murder him and that his daughter was the true murderer. He served as his own attorney throughout the trial. O'Neill had a history of violence toward Barron, according to evidence given by the prosecution, and the assault was planned out. They said that Barron was murdered by O'Neill in order to stop her from testifying against him in a subsequent domestic violence prosecution. He was convicted on all counts in June 2021. He now faces either the death penalty or a sentence of life in jail without the chance of release. Due to the brutality of the crimes and O'Neill's strange trial demeanor, the case gained a lot of media attention. Another criminal who showed no remorse to the victim is Randall Moore. Since Moore married Sheila Lynch's daughter Therese Ann, Sheila Lynch had been anticipating Randall Moore's sentence for more than a year. Lynch gave the victim impact statement before Moore's sentence. "What you did to my daughter was evil, hateful, and despicable," she said. "You took her life because you were unable to destroy her spirit." A month after she left Moore and requested a protection order against him, Moore abducted, raped, and killed his ex-wife on November 11, 2009. As Officer Todd Rowland of the Des Moines Police Department arrived at the couple's former apartment's pleas for assistance, Moore also shot Rowland. Therese Ann will always be remembered in the hearts of her family, friends, and son.
My daughter, Therese Ann Marie Lynch, was evil, hateful, and despicable. You are now dead and rotting and repulsive to me.
Read the journal she wrote. She hated you.
Thank you, Judge.
She hated you.
Thank you.
You're a loser.
For 10 minutes, Moore went on, throwing around allegations of abuse in Therese Ann's past.
That has got to be the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm not saying what I did was any better, but...
Making excuses for his ignorance, his lines.
And I'll tell you point blank, I have not 1 ounce of remorse for Therese Ann's death. It could have all been prevented. All you had to do is let me see my kid. Now you're never going to see her again.
But then came the judge.
Moore expressed regret to his family and Officer Rowland, although he did so after saying, "Todd, I could have killed you. I had a 25-shot capacity for you. I decided not to." Moore's comments sometimes caused the audience to gasp. Moore added, "I hope there are more instances when individuals don't want to let their wives see their children. I wish it would happen more frequently."
And I just can't believe what I've heard, but I am really glad you had your right of elocution and you could say everything that you said, because if anybody didn't know what a piece of work you were before you start talking, they know it now.
For the offenses against Therese Ann Lynch, Novak sentenced Moore to 3 life terms in prison, along with 25 years for shooting Officer Rowland. And to emphasize the seriousness of the crime and Moore's disdain for the law, he ordered that the sentences be served in sequence.
I've been doing this 31 years. I've never, ever seen anybody like you. And I hope, really, I never ever see anybody like you again.
Lastly, you'll all be shocked to hear about Camiya Gamet and her crime. Camiya Gamet was accused of the murder of her 38-year-old partner, Marcel Hill. In May 2018, Gamet brutally beat her partner, with whom she shared a home in Michigan. She used various things and broke the whole apartment. The police were called by the neighbors, and the court heard testimony that Hill was already dead and Gamet was covered in blood when they arrived. A bloody knife, a bloody frying pan, and a broken floor lamp were found. According to the prosecution, she repeatedly stabbed her partner with the knife. However, Camiya wasn't done yet. Just wait till you see how she defended them in court throughout the trial. Gamet said that she stabbed her partner out of self-defense because she believed he was an intruder or an attacker. The defendant's story didn't stand up to scrutiny because she would have recognized the boyfriend or his voice. The judge might have believed Gamet's account of the incident if Hill had only received 1 or 2 stab wounds. However, the evidence presented in court showed that Gamet stabbed Hill 12 times and repeatedly hit him with a frying pan until he was dead, all while claiming that she was acting in self-defense.
At trial, the way I was portrayed, mostly everything was lies. There was a little bit of truth, but mostly I was convicted off of lies.
There was some truth there, but largely I was convinced of the falsehoods. Her assertions left me unimpressed. The court asked Hill's family member, Diana Banks, to make a victim impact statement. When Hill's aunt read the message, Gamet's actions of calling her mother to the witness stand would give you shivers. When the aunt was finished, Gamet showed no sorrow, rolled her eyes, and even smirked. When the lady continued to interrupt, Judge McBain was less than kind and threatened to tape her lips.
And you're gonna shut your mouth or I'm gonna have some duct tape put on it.
In the end, Gamet was not deterred by the threat. Aunt Diana was allowed to complete her testimony since court personnel were unable to locate any duct tape. But Gamet's actions had infuriated the prosecution before she was given her punishment. She received the judgments of Judge McBain on her and the offense she committed. Gamet was given a life sentence without the possibility of parole after the court took her history of domestic violence into account. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.